Hi, everybody. Welcome to Astrology Unplugged. Another evening with us dealing with people who think that they're, or they are, stuck, and we're going to make attempts to help them get unstuck. Nice to have you with us.
If that's for me, then yes. Hi, thank you.
And thank you. That's right. And thank you to all the unpluggers out there and all you YouTubers who are tuning in at different times. We appreciate you checking in with us. As you know, about the past 6 weeks or so, I've been doing a lot of readings for people who think they're stuck and been helping them with other little things sprinkled in. So I will read from a text message in case you do want to become on this show and try to be one of these folks who are unstuck. I cannot guarantee you that I'm going to do more of that. I've got 3 or 4 more lined up already promised, but there may be some more in the future. So if you're interested, I would appreciate a short message to me at rick@starself.com. rick@starself.com if you want to mention a little message about why you feel stuck with all your birth information, all of it, including the birth time. Okay, let's take a look here at the chart of Megan, including Megan's message to me, which was let's see here. It was, I'm recovering from a major back and neck injury that put my life on hold for the past 4 years. I'm having a hard time figuring out where to put my energy and how, and I would love the help from West Hollywood, California. So here's Megan's chart. And before we get into the chart, let's welcome her aboard. And thank you for coming.
Thank you for having me. I really appreciate it.
You are certainly welcome. And we're going to take our time working with your chart. It's not a simple chart. I did not see a lot of glaring messages. So I know better than that. Just take my time and work at it. And all of a sudden, the chart starts speaking to us. So tell us a little bit about Megan. Are you married?
No, I'm single.
Okay. Children?
No children.
And how old are you?
I'm 40.
You're 40. Okay. So you're approaching your midlife crisis in the next year or two, which we're going to get into that. Now, I saw what I think caused your injury about 4 years ago. I would look at the month of late May of 2018.
Mm-hmm.
When was did you have an accident?
No, actually, it was a series of 3 accidents. That the first one was the very end of December 2016. The second was February 2017, and the third one was April 2017.
And by 2017. Okay, let me take a look at that. I want to see that in your chart. So the first one I want to know about, let me get the computer correct here.
And the first one I remember almost today, but not quite. It's like
I want to know the date on that.
What's that?
The first one was a date.
Roughly December 28th, 2016.
Okay, so we see the outer ring is where the planets were during that day, and the inner ring is your birth chart, which doesn't change. Saturn was creeping up on Neptune. Saturn was opposite your ruling planet, Mercury. Neptune was near your moon. Jupiter was opposite. Uranus was opposite Pluto. Did this happen very suddenly?
Yes, it was a very sudden, catastrophic fall off of a horse.
Okay, that was the Uranus Pluto. Okay, the events around an accident are extremely important. They tell me an awful lot. Now, you were caught in a crossfire between Jupiter at 20 and Uranus at 20 and Pluto at 21. So Jupiter, Uranus. Okay. Now, when I look at Jupiter, Uranus, which is pretty rare, let's talk about that accident. Was there anything about the accident that had to do with being in a hurry?
Yes, actually. So I was riding for some horse trainers who I already felt were pushing me too fast, and I had really tried to stand up for myself. And it was that ride that I didn't really realize that they were pushing me to get ready for a horse show.
All right, stop right
And
there. That was why the accident happened. It didn't happen because you tried to stop them. It happened because you didn't.
Correct. Yes.
So that's exactly what the planners are saying. We're going to get into this deeper. So once again, you had Jupiter, Uranus have a crossfire with your natal Pluto. So it was really somebody hurrying you to the point where they were stealing your power.
Yes. Yes.
Okay.
Thoroughly.
Now, what does that mean to you?
In what context? Because I agree with you.
I'm telling you what the pure energies of the planets were. How do you translate that into human terms?
Okay, well, that does fit exactly with what it was. I was riding with them purely to get more experience doing the type of riding they were doing and listen to my gut, which has been an ongoing problem that led to other injuries. And it was a very hard lesson to learn. And unfortunately, it took me two more calls.
You're breaking a bad on me at the moment. Are you on a cell phone?
No, I'm on Wi-Fi, but sometimes it goes out for a second.
All right, hold on. You're really far off the screen. Can you get yourself more centered? There we go. Okay. Now, what I want to tell you is this.
Okay.
The hurry up, forcing you out of being yourself, causing the sudden accident, was very close to being deadly.
Correct.
This is with Pluto's involved. Okay, I want to tell you this. This had nothing to do with the horses, and this had nothing to do with these people. What these people were was a repetition of a pattern that had been going on for a long time.
Yeah.
So when you were growing up, I can already see in your chart that you were distant from your father.
Yeah, I mean, he was very busy, and I think because the way he grew up, he was an acting kid and he was always on his own. So that was just kind of how he thought things were. But I was a much more sensitive child and I didn't have a lot of support from other members of the family. So
so your dad wasn't there. He wasn't there to raise you and support you.
Yeah.
Okay, what did that have? That was clear in the chart. Okay. And he's just playing a role from the past life. So we know that. What did that have to do with you having to always be in a hurry?
Well, that's kind of the story of how my family gets things done. We're very good in a rush, except for times where it's not okay to be in a rush, where it's a safety matter or just a young child.
When you're little and you don't know what a rush means, how did you feel when your dad was rushing past you?
Oh, well, it was something I didn't know any better about. That was just how it was. So it was just trying to make do and not be too much of a hassle until I couldn't handle it anymore. And then I would get upset.
When you were little and your father rushed past you, how did you feel?
Well, I mean, it would be alienating.
How did you feel?
Just wanting more.
Okay, would a word like upset work?
I suppose.
Would a word like being overlooked or taken for granted, would that work? You keep moving towards the edge of the screen. There we go. Now I can see you. Okay. Well, that's what I'm saying astrologically. Through no fault of your own, you're being ignored. You're being
Yeah.
shoved to the side. I'm rushing past you because what I got to do is more important. And
Yes,
there's only one way. There's only one way in the initial stages. There's only one way that makes a little child feel. It makes you feel like you're not worth it.
yes, yes.
And it's not true, but that's how it makes you feel. Okay.
I agree.
So we see that here. Now, I'm going to tell you what I'm looking at in your chart here in a minute. What sign was your dad?
He is a Taurus.
Okay, being a Taurus, about 70% of the Taurus males, about 70% of the Taurus males live in a small world where it's just them. And about 30% are big enough that they share their world with other people. Which one was your dad?
He very much tries to share his world. He really does try to help people. So I think I would opt for the latter.
Okay, very good. What sign was your mother?
She's a Cancer.
Okay, was she the caring?
Sorry. She's a Libra sun, Cancer moon. Sorry.
She's a Libra sun. Okay, was she attentive to you or more concerned with her social position?
Correct. The latter.
Okay. So you got one who's concerned with their social position and how the family looks, as opposed to how the family is. And dad, you're trying to grab him as he's running by.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Well, those two energies came together during the time of the accident. Okay. And the reason the accident happened is because you were not able to stop the people around you from glossing over you and just going by. You weren't able to just stop them and transmit to them that this is not right with me. But you were very young. How old were you?
Well, it wasn't that long ago. So mid-30s.
Okay. In the mid-30s. All right. So in your mid-30s, that makes me wonder what happened during your Saturn return. So around age 28, 29, what happened in your life in terms of you getting people straightened out on how you want them to treat you?
Yeah. So at 28, that was the first time I got really sick. In that instance, it was very severe duodenal ulcers. And so that was pretty upsetting. My dogs died. That was upsetting. I think I recall my progressed moon opposing my natal Saturn at the same time. It was a very depressing time.
Okay, well, there are many things involved with that. During the Saturn return, it's a time when you grow up rather suddenly, and you're a very youthful chart. Very, very youthful. Let's go back and take a look at that. You're not like other charts normally. You're more youthful than most. Sun in Gemini, Venus in Gemini, Mercury in Gemini, Mars in Taurus, Chiron in Taurus, rising sign of Aries. The only planet that's not in that group is a moon in Pisces. Now, the real key to your chart is the Neptune opposition to Mercury, because it's your ruling planet, Mercury, it's your mind, and Neptune is opposite it. And not only is that opposite, it's going up and down the midheaven, and it makes a T-square to Saturn. And this Saturn is retrograde, okay? And the closer T-square is actually to Jupiter. But the Saturn is very strong here, being retrograde. This tells me that the issue with your father is more serious than what you've let on.
Yeah, I mean, it's pretty fundamental, and I'm not.
Go ahead.
Yeah.
What I mean, go ahead.
I'm just saying it's one of those things where you can't change people. So it is what it is.
Honey, I understand that. Nobody's blaming you. We're on your side. But what I'm saying to you is astrologically, the issue with your dad is more important than what's been stated.
Okay.
Okay?
Okay.
Your mother was almost inconsequential here because she was here to do her thing. Right?
Correct. Yeah.
To the
total-
outside, to the outside world, it looked like she was taking care of you. Yes, no.
You froze up. Sorry, you
To
froze
the-
up for a second.
To the outside world, it looked like she was taking care of you.
Yes.
But to you, was she?
No.
Okay. That's very normal with a Libra mother. Now, the father. Remember, these two people are playing a role. They're playing a role. And I'm going to get to why I think they're playing a role. This was not done personally to hurt your feelings. This was not done personally to ignore you, although that's what you experienced. But it all comes back to how you play the game in your own mind. So let's go back to your 12th harmonic, which is your spiritual transcript chart. We're going to go and look at that. And you've seen me do this before on the show. All right, here is the past life spiritual transcript chart. We see in this chart, the moon is opposite Uranus very closely. This means that for the longest time, through many of your lifetimes, for the longest time, we don't know why, and this is not your fault. We don't know why, but you could not get emotionally settled.
Oh, okay.
You could not get emotionally settled. It might even be the fact that nobody around you would allow you to. We don't know what the reason is yet. We see a strong 8th house, which means you're really interested in deeper matters, which is not Geminian. We see a very strong Venus. We see another theme of moon in Virgo, which is in your birth chart too. So what we see in the birth chart, we see some real strong stability here in the chart, and that really helps. One of the things we see in the different charts is a constant feeling of being criticized by people.
Right.
Who was criticizing you?
Oh, it was everybody.
Okay. Well, when you're little and you're being criticized, that sure is not easy. That sure isn't easy.
My sister was constantly hypercritical.
What sign is your sister?
She's a Capricorn.
Okay, well, that can be pretty tough because they can sound very authoritative.
Yes.
And they can be pretty.
Did by my mother to kind of be the one to parent me. So she felt even more.
Since your mother didn't parent you, your sister did.
Yes, unfortunately.
Is your mother alive?
Yes, she is.
How are you and her today?
We're on civil terms. She went off the deep end with the COVID QAnon stuff, so I really had to take a huge step back.
She went on the COVID what?
The whole, like, all the crazy conspiracy theories and all that nutty stuff. So I really had to take a huge step back.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
Here's what I think about your chart.
Okay.
When you have such early planets like the Aries and the Taurus and the Gemini, usually people with those kind of energies are not that interested in heavy cosmic events.
Oh.
Okay. You are because of the Neptune opposition to Mercury. That's where it comes from. So your Mercury is not only the typical Gemini Mercury, which is interested in that, look at this, look at that, look at that. But when Neptune's involved, it's got you interested in everything, unbounded. Now, the problem when you have a strong Neptune on an early person like that is it's very hard for you to ascertain what it means because Neptune is very, very difficult. For the most advanced charts, it's a very difficult planet to understand because it's boundless.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Now, when Neptune is strong in your chart, it's very common that somebody around you is consuming a lot of alcohol.
Oh, interesting.
True or false?
Yeah, I mean, they drank a fair amount to be functional, but yes, they both drink too much.
Okay, that's very, very common with Neptune. And the reason why is it's got to do with escapism. Also, it's very common for a lot of adultery.
Oh, that I would not know about.
That doesn't mean your immediate family, but it could mean
Oh,
it could mean with aunts and uncles. We don't know in the
right.
vicinity. Okay, but what I'm getting at is this: your chart is kind of, you see, whenever you have dual themes, that's very Gemini. We don't know
Okay.
why, but it's just one of the tests, one of the real facts about astrology. Gemini equals dual themes. And while you've got this theme in you that you want to play, you're very young. And when you're very young, what do you want to do? You want to play in a sandbox. The sandbox is very much a symbol of Gemini. That's why we could put Mr. Trump in the sandbox and leave him there. And he really belongs in one because he doesn't know how to understand things at deeper levels. He says the words, but he doesn't understand. He asked the guy, he took a tour of Pearl Harbor. He took a tour of Pearl Harbor and he asked the soldier next to it, he said, I know something important happened here. What was it?
No.
Yeah, he did.
Oh God, that's horrible.
Okay. Now, Geminis are young spirits. They're little kids inside. They're fun loving and they're one of the favorite signs of the zodiac. People love being around them because they're talkative and they're refreshing and they talk about all kinds of subjects. But in your chart, you've got Neptune breathing down your neck. So Neptune is a very advanced spiritual vow almost.
Oh.
So it's kind of like we've taken this kid off the streets who's really having a lot of fun and being herself, but somehow in your past lives, you were required out of nowhere to start becoming very spiritually devoted.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't think that a normal child can understand that at those ages. Does that make sense to you?
Yes, no, some of my very earliest memories, which go back to like I have even earlier memories, but where I understand kind of the world. I remember wondering about big subjects. I remember looking at the sky, feeling like there was so much more. And that developed more and more as I got older, especially at 5 years old. I remember really thinking in that kind of way.
Okay, well, this is very intriguing to me. I don't have the answer yet. We're working at it. But what I keep forgetting to do with all of you, and I got to stop myself and remind myself right now, is why is it and how do you feel stuck?
Well, aside from the physical issues, I've certainly felt like that for a long time when it comes to intellectually. I've had this ongoing problem into adulthood where I can understand big things and I can far bigger than I can come up with words for. So I kind of have to explore subjects much for long before I can do anything practical with it. Sorry if I'm speaking vague.
No. You're not speaking vague at all. You're going right towards the point. Keep going.
Okay. So it's actually been, even though I don't like the experience of, bringing my son all this time off, it's been remarkable for that exploration. I've really gone deep within myself. I got some psilocybin, did a whole lot of what I called a college for the soul, and really made me have a lot of faith.
You're breaking up on me a good bit. Are you talking about psilocybin?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay, and you took these psychedelics to help you do what?
So it was kind of just a way to deeper explore my body, and then it turned into more of exploring a lot of greater concepts.
Okay. All right.
It was a good turning point as I went deeper into healing.
Okay, well, I agree with you, and I think that this does not surprise me. The Neptune symbol in your chart also points towards a psilocybin. Now, I'm not here to advocate or advise what to do or not to do. That's not my job. My job is to try to clarify what's going on. And I can see how you're confused because this is exactly what I'm seeing in the chart. I'm seeing this young child who's toying with, experimenting with these extremely advanced principles. And even if she does get a rope around one and lasso it, she gets it back to earth and doesn't know what to do with it.
Correct. Yes.
All right.
Yes.
All right. Now remember, we're not sitting in judgment. We're trying to break through the sense of being stuck. That's what we're here to do. Okay. Number one, why are Geminis here?
To be the curious,
Right.
playful explorer, I suppose, is not the
That's
right.
exactly right. That's
it is.
exactly right. Learning to talk. Hey, I can talk. Putting out a little magazine locally to everybody in the local group. Talking, spreading the news. How well do you do with secrets?
I've become much better with them. Actually, when I was young.
Geminis don't do well at all with secrets. They just don't do it.
Yeah, no, but in the past decade, really deep into, I do a lot of work with political organizations, legal authorities, and so forth. And now it's kind of my business to collect secrets and be very careful.
How well do you do with being nailed down?
Nailed down in what sense?
How well do you do when somebody nails you down? Do you stay nailed down or do you squirm loose?
Oh, squirm.
You're definitely a squirmer.
Yeah.
Okay, that's what Gemini is supposed to do.
Okay.
Yeah, Gemini is not here to take a stance.
Right.
Geminis take a lot of crap from people because they don't take a stance. They're not made to take a stance. They're made to flip from one to the other, to the other, to the other. That's what they're made to do. So what do you do with somebody like that who's not getting educated, who's not getting cared for by the parents? So what I'm asking you is, why did you make the leap from having a childhood where you're not getting mothered, parented?
Yeah.
You make the jump all the way to Terrence McKenna land, which is the far out stuff. What happened to all the mid-range, typical relating to other people? What happened to those stages?
Okay, they happened, I swear. So but so basically, as soon as I was out of school, I actually could have had a quite successful career as an actress. Intuitively, everything inside of me told me to turn it down. Since then, the various people involved have turned out to be horrible human beings in the Weinstein kind of sense. And I know without having any family support, I would have been completely victimized by it. So instead, I got into entertainment journalism. I got into photography. I did quite well in both. You know, I was running weekly entertainment magazines.
What I want to know is not what kind of jobs you had.
Oh.
I want to know what kind of experiences as you were 17, 18, 22, 24. As a person, what was happening to you as far as ease of having experiences or disabilities?
It was a combination of both. I definitely thrived when I did well. But the better I did, you know, the harder the criticisms would come, and, you know, different interests. There'd be a lot of people trying to, you know, knock me down, all that kind of stuff.
Okay, so I want you to repeat for me why you feel stuck.
I feel stuck because I never learned enough about fully listening to my gut, myself, and believing in my thoughts. Because so much I would spend so much time stopping myself mid-thought and forcing myself on the traditional how you're supposed to think track. Then I would meet a brick wall.
Saturn and Virgo criticism. And then your parents wouldn't stop long enough to give you any feedback.
Well, my mother would give me feedback, but hypercritical.
Yeah, but it was the feedback of what people were going to think of you, not opposed to what kind of feedback you needed with constructive criticism.
Correct. Yeah, none of that. None of
One of the mainstays of this show that I am harping on, and I'm not going to be quiet about, is about 80% of us are not getting parented the way we should have been parented. Maybe 70%. About 80%. And I told Liza several times, she's probably tired of hearing it. We don't hear anybody talking about this, about stop having babies.
Mm-hmm.
We don't hear people talking about it. I'm going to have a baby. She's going to love me forever. And I use the baby as an object for unconditional love, but it doesn't mean I'm going to give back to the child what the child needs. So what we end up seeing is about 70% of the clients are walking around with parents who weren't available.
Yeah.
So what did the poor kids do besides having to become the parent themselves? So what you're really talking about is not stuck. You're not talking about being stuck. I'm here with the babies and I can't go anywhere. That's stuck.
Yeah.
Okay, you're talking about parts of yourself that never got developed.
Oh, right.
Okay.
Yes.
That's what I was trying to clarify before the show started, and I was studying here. Now, it's not an accident that you have Neptune opposite your Mercury. And the reason why is this: you are not a Gemini. Nobody is an Aries. Nobody is a Libra. This is a construct that we BS media do to ourselves. Yes, you have a lot of Gemini energy, archetypal energy in your chart. Yes, you have a lot of youthful energies in your chart, but you should make sure you don't identify too closely with any of them. You definitely are able, and you've shown your record to having done a lot of Gemini type things. The photography, the magazines, the journalistic stuff is very true. Now, what I want to do is zoom forward to your 2017 accident. Is that the correct date?
Yeah, well, I mean, it was a couple days before 2017.
Well, I want to just in general.
Okay. Yes.
So around 2017, you were how old?
So that would have been 35. Yeah, it was
okay.
Still
okay, around 35. What I want to do, what I want to focus with you is let's zoom up and look down at you. With a wide angle lens. I want to know what happened between the ages 28, 29, 30, 31, 32, 33, 34, 35. That was a critical time because at 28, those are the ages where you should have naturally started coming together. But what we see is you couldn't naturally come together because you weren't given the pieces.
Yes. Correct.
So you go on for another 7 years of really tough stuff, what I would call winging it, just trying the best you can until it blew up in the form of a wreck.
Yes.
It blew up in the form of a wreck. You hurt your neck and what else?
So I hurt pretty much, I herniated L5S1. I know I've done damage to my occipital nerves and lower down on my neck. They're still figuring that out. I had a compression fracture at T5, T6. And then I kept pushing through it to make everything worse.
Okay, so you had a lot of spinal problems and probably amazed that you can even walk, right?
Correct, yes.
All right. What happened at 28? 27, 28, 29. What happened during those years that kept you from getting the necessary messages that, how do I put it? Like, here comes the cavalry. The cavalry is going to come and support me.
Yeah.
28, you not only grow up, but you should start getting assistance from the outer world of people helping you with money, with college, with relationships, with books, with movies. You should have gotten the cavalry coming your way at 28 to help support you. What happened that put you off another 7 years?
Yeah, at that point, I really, I felt like I lost all faith in myself and people.
That's exactly.
Like I thought I was a total.
That's exactly what I saw.
Yeah.
Okay. Now, the message is this, Megan, there's nothing wrong with you. There's nothing wrong with you. And I'm just going to say it. It's a goddamn shame what happened to you in his early years. It just is. I don't understand it. But that's what we're seeing here. We're seeing not only did the cavalry not come to help you, but in fact, when the cavalry did start coming your way to supply you, you felt unworthy and rejected it.
Exactly, actually.
Okay, and that's really sad. And that's really, listen to me, that's really, really common.
Okay.
It happens a lot, and it's got nothing to do with you. And it has an awful lot to do with how we are mistrained in terms of seeing God correctly. And when we're mistrained with seeing God, we treat it only one way. He sees us as unworthy.
Yeah.
He doesn't see you as unworthy. Yeah. Where do you see anywhere? Not the junk in the Old Testament. In the New Testament, he doesn't see us as unworthy. We see us as unworthy when dad's running by and mom's going to a bingo game.
Yes.
That's where you get the message that you're unworthy. Other words, mom and dad were not ready to have a child.
Yes, although I was the last one, but yes.
Okay, and all of you.
Yes, I agree.
Were your mom and dad ready to have how many kids?
Only 2.
Were they ready to raise either one?
I don't believe so. They were.
That's a very honest statement. We're not trying to tear them down. I mean, they did what everybody else did. And in the 50s and 60s, we really got lied to a lot because we thought we were going to have Ozzie and Harriet forever. We get married and they married together and it would all be just great. Mm-hmm. Okay, so what's happening now to you is this.
Oh, you're asking me. Okay.
No, I'm telling you, I'm going to tell you what I think.
Got it.
Yeah, I'll tell you what I think. I think that you have responded to all these things in a really normal fashion. I think it's totally expected to see you, the results that happen with you happen. I think it's amazing that you didn't get hurt any worse than you did, thank God. And I think now you're coming around.
Yes.
I think you're now coming around. And that's because you're on this show. How do I put it? It's not that this show's that important, but you would not be in front of the global eye that's looking at you now.
Mm-hmm.
You would not be in front of the collective consciousness that's looking at you now if you weren't ready. Now, a couple of things. Number one, you must always remain childlike. That's just who you are. You got a high-pitched voice. It's very youthful like. That's just you. We noticed it with Bob Hope when Bob Hope turned 100. The Gemini. Right. He had a high-pitched voice. Okay? We know it's a Gemini thing. They look very youthful for their age. People card you when they're not carding your friends, right?
Correct. Yes.
Okay. All right. Now, we go to look at your natal chart as it is right now. Let's look at the pressures that the natal chart is under right now. And I've got a lot to say about it. One of the main things in your chart is this Neptune, which is so strong, opposing this Mercury, and this Saturn T-square. Well, what I want to tell you is that transiting Neptune is at 20. Transiting Neptune is at 20 Pisces, which is going to be pretty soon square to Neptune. In other words, in Neptune's life, it will have gone 1/4 of the way around the zodiac. It'll get to here and start to square itself. Okay? And not too much longer, 2-3 more years, it's going to start squaring Mercury. Okay? Which is your boss planet. Now, what that means when Neptune is hitting Neptune, in your case, you're going to start getting spiritual cavalry come to your rescue.
I can't wait.
You are ready for it.
I do feel.
Now, if you had not gone on this show it would have been symbolic to me that you weren't ready for it. Because Neptune's not
Right.
easy. It's not easy.
Right.
But what you don't need, in my opinion, you don't need a bunch of far out Terrence McKenna, far out psilocybin trips.
Oh no, I haven't done it.
What you need, in my opinion, tell me if I'm wrong, is more advanced adult theories, owning them, saying those are me, putting a period at the end of the sentence without stopping to defend yourself.
Oh my God, yes, exactly.
Tell me how you feel about that.
Well, I feel like you nailed it, but yes, that's a huge problem. And that's been a big hindrance for me in writing, is that I get caught in this horrible loop where I think a thought and then I like hear all the criticisms and then I have to waste time, justifying it.
Okay, very good. Very good. Now let me ask you a question. All
Sure.
these voices in your head, who put them there?
I mean, well, the earliest voices I think would play a big part, which would be my mother and my sister.
Yeah, mother, sister, authority figures. All right. Now that they're there, who's in charge of hiring and firing?
Me.
Who's in charge of hiring and firing? Who's in the critical committee up here?
Yes, me. 100%.
All right. Well, you
Yeah.
don't hire and fire until you do some inspection.
Right.
And as Neptune comes through during the next couple of years, Neptune's going to start evaluating these voices in terms of, are they spiritually truly behind you in a loving way? This voice, is it truly spiritually on my side? Or is it a pain in the ass, critical voice left over from someone else's junk?
Oh, okay.
So you get the advantage of Neptune's coming slowly. It's coming slowly. It's coming slowly. Remember, you need a lot of time off to go play in the sandbox. That's
Yes.
just you. Play with photography, play with journalism, all those things. Those are very wonderful Gemini things. But as Neptune's getting closer and closer, Neptune is the voice of the Holy Spirit. I don't know if that's printed anywhere, but I just printed it somewhere. Okay. Neptune is the voice of the Holy Spirit. It's very wise. It's very soft. It's totally pro Megan.
Mm-hmm.
It's pro everything about your life. Everything about it is soft. There's no criticism in his voice. There's no harshness. Now that's a vacation, isn't it?
Yeah, I've been working very hard to develop that side. I never even knew it existed.
No, what I'm talking to you about, it's ready, it's baking, it's cooking, the smells, the aromas are coming your way, and you've got all the time you need. More importantly, you have all the rights to go up there and investigate and say, who put you here? Get out of here. Who put you here? Get out of here. In transactional analysis, the adult that's up here is supposed to do nothing more than tell you when the light is red, when the light is green, how much money it takes, can we go? It's objective. It's not critical.
Oh,
It's not critical. It doesn't know what criticism is. It just says, yes, go, no, stop. Keeps you safe. But what most of us do is we develop the hypercritical parent, the mean parent, the vindictive parent, the angry child, the upset child, the rebellious child, and then we got a mess.
Yes, it's a storm of different voices.
Right. And it sounds very much to me like you're a really pretty mellow Gemini.
I think so.
You sound like you're pretty mellow. You sound like you're interested in a lot of things. And what didn't happen a long time ago, which is understandable, was you needed to tell somebody to get off your back.
Oh, yes.
But how do you do that when you're little?
Yes.
Okay. So let's rewind. All of this has nothing to do with your parents.
Okay.
All of this has to do with your precepts, with your initial thoughts of you and God. Okay.
Oh.
And what this means, and I'm seeing it so much that I'm sure of it. Okay. what this means is you have grown through whatever it means, thinking that God's constantly criticizing you.
Yeah.
He's not.
Yeah.
He's made you the perfect child, just like his son. We're all his sons.
Mm-hmm.
And what he has done is given you free reign. And when you have free reign, that's really tough because you have to really be worthy to take upon free reign.
Right.
So the question now is, are you worthy? Are you becoming worthier, etc.?
I have been working very hard. In fact, that's been a big thing over the past couple of years because the psilocybin, that was like 2 years ago. And then I worked on integrating everything. And it's been fascinating to not criticize myself, like all the different things that happened, totally understandable. It's okay. How freeing that is. It's a total game changer. And then learning to integrate that into a large part of my being so I don't go back and forth, because there was a lot of that phase.
Well,
Still.
I think you're sounding exactly right on. And it sounds to me like the cavalry is coming. You're starting to hear it. It's proper. And another real indication of this, and this is a global thing, back up everybody, is your mom and dad are going to start losing their support systems.
Oh,
True or false?
I hope not.
Are they losing their support systems?
Do you mean, sorry, what do you mean? In what context?
I don't know what context. They've got different people and things around them that support them. Are they losing them or maintaining them?
Oh, I see what you're saying. Well, during COVID, currently it's losing.
See, there is no such thing as COVID. COVID is another word that we put on the Neptune opposition to Neptune in the United States chart.
Yeah.
If you're doing your thing and you're doing it responsibly, you won't lose your support systems. And between now and February 20th, which is the Pluto return, I'm seeing like crazy people are losing their support systems. And I find it hard to believe that your parents would have proper support systems that still prop them up when they're not propping you up.
I see.
You cannot treat somebody else differently than you treat yourself.
That is very
It's not possible. And you sound to me to be not a BS Gemini. You sound to be very authentic. In other words, if I were to leave children with you, I have every reason to believe that you would treat the children swimmingly.
Right. Yeah.
I think you'd be very, very good with children.
I don't know.
And I mean, in terms of giving them what they need, listening to them, hearing a little child.
Yes. Yes.
Okay. So in my opinion of what I've seen in these charts, I think you've got every reason to think that everything's going to get better and better and better. Don't be surprised if your mom and dad start to lose their support systems. And look around you. Look around you, brothers, sisters, workers. I'll bet you're all starting to see this. It's happening everywhere. My phone's ringing off the hook.
Mm-hmm.
People are saying, save me, save me, save me. It's too late. Too late.
Ball's rolling.
I don't sense that with you. I don't sense you've ever ignored anything. I sense that you just weren't given the tools that you needed. You know, you were given 3 really scary time periods that were messages that eventually got through to you that you needed to wake up those parts. But you see, you were never stuck. These were parts that were never developed.
Yes. That it makes absolute sense, because that's when I would come upon an impasse. It would be because I came upon something that, it's some basic thing I hadn't learned. I've had to wing it most of my life.
That's exactly right. Wing it on just your instincts. That's right. And Geminis are pretty darn good at that because they're really resourceful. And that's where knowing a little bit of this and a little bit of that comes in handy.
Mm-hmm.
That's how Geminis can do it. You're by no means like a lot of Gemini women that I've entertained, who are real critical with real sharp mouths. That's not you. You're not.
But I hold it back because it's not fair to other people.
Yeah, I just don't sense it with you. I really
Yeah.
sense a lot of good things, and I just sense that a lot of good things are coming your way. And I want to take a look at the chart that is your current return chart. Okay, let's see. In Los Angeles and born in the month of May, let's look at the current return chart in West Hollywood for you. Okay. Okay. So this is the chart that was time stamped on your last birthday. This will hold true until next May, your next birthday. This tells me what you will be doing. Number one thing in the chart, Jupiter sitting around the bottom of the chart. This is the pole that is your growth pole, where you come from, where you're going to. This is your nest. And this is somebody planting a pole right in the middle of your nest. That's just wonderful. This is somebody basing their life and changing their turning point by basing their life upon good favor, good intentions, being benevolent. Okay? Because you have all kind of rights to be bitter if you wanted.
Yes.
And
yes.
it would not help you. So this is very favorable for the next year. This also includes your life as far as living, houses, where am I going to live, et cetera, et cetera. This is like putting a blessing. I don't like the word good luck, but putting a blessing in that whole area. So this is kind of like moving forward with myself with a lot of optimism and a feeling of well-being. Okay?
Okay. Yeah,
Now,
I'd say that.
You've got the moon all by itself, which means you're putting a lot of focus on your emotional growth. You got a big T-square here to Neptune, which tells me in Pisces that whether you're ready or not, you're going to continue to pursue spiritual interest and spiritual knowledge. And I think that's very, very good for you. Now, in the eighth house, we see Venus and Mercury and Mars. And what I'm saying about that, and I'm getting a warning here, I'm getting a further indication that you may want to play around once again with psilocybin. I'm going to advise against it.
Okay, yeah, I don't care either way. I'm kind of better.
I'm going to advise against it because it's nothing to play with.
Yeah, I feel like I went through that period of time of introspection. I learned what I did, and I'm good.
Right. And I think that if you want to revisit it later on, fine. But I think these ensuing years that are coming up, these are years for you to get grounded.
Yes.
Get grounded. And grounded means here I am. This is what I want to do. If you criticize me, okay, I don't need to hear from you, but I don't need to debate you. I don't need to explain myself, etc. They're years of their post, their Saturn return extra years.
Okay.
Okay? It's like the Saturn return is delivering its goodies 7 years later than some people get it. Okay?
Ooh, okay.
And that's okay. Now, another thing about this, there's several things about this. There's good reason to believe that health will be in good shape for a while, but there's reason to believe that you're going to need to take things seriously, because I'm still getting the initial thought that I got when I looked at this chart. There's a lot of things that you're looking at and you're saying to yourself, it's not there, and it is there.
Oh.
There are a lot of things in front of you that are there, and you're saying they're not there, but they are. And that's really important in this chart.
Okay.
What's that mean to you?
Well, unfortunately, the feeling that I've been having about it lately has been vague, but it's been a sense of a lot of the skills and talents that I've had, I've been discounting for so long. I don't realize that I can keep developing and keep pursuing and even capitalize. It's still that deficit of confidence playing a role.
Well, I think that makes a lot of sense. And here's how I see it. When your mom and dad aren't giving you what you need, the worst thing you can do in your world is to tell yourself that they're not. It's much
Right.
easier to say, it's much easier to say, they are really giving to me. Don't kid me and don't fool me. It really is there when it isn't there because it hurts too much to say yes. But the point is now you're old enough and smart enough, and the facts are what the facts are. And the facts are probably that they didn't get what they were needed.
Yes. Yes. 100%.
I mean, that just happens. It just happens. So what I'm saying going on in this chart, the number one thing is as time goes on, the next several years, you're going to become more and more realistic. You're going to become more and more willing to look at what's really there and say, yes, it is there.
That would be nice.
Less pie in the sky, less living in castles in the sky.
Yes.
And I think that's a lot of reason that the injuries came your way.
Yeah, I was trying to figure out different directions, just trying to explore different stuff, trying to find what would be right for me. And I went too many directions. And again, the ongoing problem I had of going against my gut. And part of it factoring how it would look professionally. That's
okay. Well, those are three different things. As far as you going many different directions, you'll never stop that. That's just Gemini, and you need to do that. Secondly, as far as you going against your gut, that's why you had the illnesses. Okay?
Yeah.
That's the real Megan telling you what the facts are, but you learn not to trust her. Well, how could you trust? How could you trust her with the way she was treated?
Yes.
So as you hire and fire this committee up here, go to it. Get out a legal pad. Let each of them know how you feel about it. Let them know. Let them know before you fire them.
Yeah.
Before you keep them on.
Yeah.
You don't have to, if you got 6 there, you don't have to keep all 6 there in your committee. You can keep 4. Whatever, the game is yours.
Yeah. That sounds, I will actually definitely be doing that.
Now, as the Pluto return is forming, February 20th for the whole country, you and all of us, I would talk a lot more about this. You're going to feel a lot more heavier impulses and feelings like I want to do something that's more important. But I really think that you're in sync with it. And I think that number one, you're going to feel like goofing around a lot less.
Oh, nice.
And you're going to feel like becoming more and more serious.
That sounds good.
And I think that's more fitting of you. When we look at your 6th harmonic, the 6th harmonic is your destiny. And we see what? Capricorn at the top of the chart. And Chiron and Capricorn. This tells me that in your jobs, in your pursuit of work, etc., you would be very good in a managerial position.
Yes, I do well in
That's
this.
not typical Gemini. That's coming from your Capricorn. Okay. So it's really good. You got the best. You got the best being able to explore with your Gemini by bringing the Capricorn in to solidify things, to be a good member of a committee, to solidify a business. So what it comes down to now, what we're looking at is when I talk to people about their life direction, which I think is directly tied to being stuck.
Yeah.
I think life direction is directly tied to early trauma.
Okay. Yeah, that makes sense.
When you had early trauma, which will show up in the chart, when you had early trauma, because you certainly got it when you were much older, we're looking at a very interesting chart here. 2 degrees, 23, 7. We're looking at age 9. What happened around age 9?
Age 9, I think, was when I really started to interact with the world, and really felt the push pull of that hypercritical versus me trying to succeed and achieve.
Did you come close to drowning?
That happened actually when I think I was 4.
Not when you were 9?
No. Oh, but when I was 9, I had a bad fall off of a horse, and I told nobody because I knew if my father knew, he'd never let me ride again. And I remember spending like the next year in pain anytime I tried to run. That was 8 years old.
This strong Jupiter, this T-square from 28, 23, 0, this Jupiter is why you ride horses.
Yeah, horses.
Your Jupiter and Sagittarius are the planets and signs we need to see for people that are interested in horses. Okay, so what would you say? Well, I'm trying to look here to see early trauma. I don't really see it. 3 age. I see it at age 18. What happened? What happened at age 18? Boy,
That when I
almost 19.
Okay, well, 19 is when I went to New York and worked. That was interesting. It did end horribly though, because one of the guys sexually harassed me and nobody defended me.
That had to do with growing up real fast?
Yeah, certainly. And no defense, like no defense system whatsoever.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying here. What happened with your lawyers?
Lawyer? Oh no, it didn't go that far.
Okay, well, let's come look back at your 6th harmonic. The chart looks good for the future. This is your destiny chart. This is the one that showed me that you had managerial abilities, et cetera, good organizational skills, which is really pretty rare for Gemini people, but you do have.
I was sure about that one.
You're not sure about that one?
Yeah, I have room to improve by a lot.
Well, what are your questions?
Well, I know the thing that's I've always wondered about since when I first got into astrology when I was like 12, 13 years old was the Yed that I have.
The Yod?
Sorry.
All
that
right.
I have Mars in the 2nd with Pluto and Neptune.
Pluto and Neptune. Okay. Yeah, I've got my in conjuncts turned off. That's why you don't see it. That's why you don't see it here. There's an in conjunct between Mars and Pluto, which is 150 degrees. And there's an in conjunct between Mars and Neptune. And the Yod goes to Mars. Well, first of all, your little sub-generation in high school, you all were born with Pluto and Neptune sextile to each other.
Yeah.
Okay, it's very common. And that's why a lot of you folks that were born around that time that would have any planets in this area where your Mars is would have a Yod. So what is your question about the Yod?
Well, over the years of looking at it, even in the past few years, I've wondered if it could be somewhat representative of like the injuries I had, but clearly.
Well, it can because it's pretty volatile with Mars Pluto.
Yeah. And then Uranus is making a wide opposition to the Mars.
Uranus is now starting to conjunct it. Uranus is now coming through here now. It's getting ready to conjunct that point in the next 2 years. So we need to talk about that because not only is Uranus going to activate your 2nd house, it's going to activate your Chiron. In about 2 years, it's going to go over Mars and it's going to be at the point of the Yod. But what's going to happen when it gets to 27, it's going to be opposite itself. And that is the midlife crisis.
Oh, I
Okay.
see.
It sounds very much to me that even though Uranus is back at 10 degrees and he goes forward in about a week, he's going to go forward, start through this area. When Uranus opposes Uranus, you're already showing great symptoms of Uranus opposite Uranus. If you go to my page on YouTube, there's an immediate default video that pops up. It's programmed that way. It's about the Uranus stages.
Oh, okay.
The stage at 21, the stage at 42, the stage at 63, the stage at 84. I would greatly recommend you watch that, especially for the one at 42, because you're already getting symptoms of it. Okay. Uranus opposite Uranus is, have I been being myself?
Right.
No, I haven't been being myself. Okay. Why haven't I been being myself? I'm tired of making excuses. I'm tired of apologizing. I'm tired of defending myself. I'm going to be myself. Now, what a lot of people do mistakenly during a year in this time, they mistake it, they don't pick it up properly. They start blaming others. They start thinking if it wasn't for you, it wasn't for this job, I think I'll quit this job and buy a motorcycle and start dating a 20-year-old chick instead of somebody that's 40 like me. Those are very common reactions to Uranus times around age 42. It's a very reckless time. So you need to be careful during the exact phases of that Uranus so you don't get injured again. But what Uranus is mainly is, I want to start listening to that voice inside.
Yeah.
Which is what you're talking about.
Yes, yes.
Because she's pretty cool and she may want to do some kind of wild and crazy, and that's okay. Let's go do it. So there's a wild and crazy in us that's kind of good. And there's a wild and crazy in us that we don't want to listen to. They're two different ones.
Okay.
Does that make any sense?
Yes, it does. Yeah.
One is irresponsible. One is not.
Yeah.
One is casting everything to the side because it's been my problem. It's falsely labeled as my problem. That's irresponsible.
Yeah.
I haven't told you this in a long time, so I may as well repeat it. I had a client here in Pittsburgh, many years ago, 18 years ago, who was a male, married to a woman, had two little kids. And the woman hired me to come over to the family and talk to the whole family at once because he wanted to leave the marriage, leave the family, and get on a motorcycle and go to Las Vegas and get some shiny glasses. He wanted to get shiny glasses and be a state trooper.
Oh.
He wanted the shiny glasses, become a state trooper, and abandon his family.
Nice.
So what the hell am I going to do coming there to talk?
Mm-hmm.
So I tried to line this guy up with some sensibility. He was an Aries. He abandoned the family, went to Los Angeles, and got himself some shiny glasses. That's the last I heard of him. And I'm sure the family did a lot better once he was gone.
Yes. Yeah.
But that's the misuse of Uranus.
Yes.
These impulses are in us, and they're really strong. If you don't know yourself well, you can mislabel them.
Yeah.
Uranus is a very powerful energy, and the planets are very powerful right now. So therefore, Miss Megan, don't be surprised if you're having some outrageous new ideas, like you want to go do what? And I'm here to say, go do it.
Cool.
What are you thinking about?
Well, certainly a big, not the only reason, but part of that's gone into all this time spent,
Well, you froze up for a second. We'll wait till you come back. Now you're back.
Okay. The way that people get hit with that sudden panic, with that midlife crisis type feeling,
Right.
I never wanted to be hit with it, because when I was younger, I'd get hit with those types of feelings. So part of why I've been working so hard is I really would like to be in a place where, like what you're saying, I can use that inspiration in a positive way.
That's exactly right. Yes,
It,
that's right. That's exactly right. And that's very promising. It can be one of the most exciting times of your life. When it hit me recently, I taught myself to finger pick on a guitar, and I wrote about 8 or 9 songs by myself, which I had never written a song before. I don't want
yeah.
anybody. I don't want anybody to hear them, but the impulse came through.
Okay.
And it was really strong. And it's very important. Here's the qualities that that planet has. It wants you to do it yourself. It wants to be about you, your way. And it's not selfish. It's all about, we've been, how do I say it? We've been finishing second and third all my life, and I'm tired of it. I want to finish first for a while. That's what the Uranus transit's like. And it does not mean at all if I'm first and you're second. It just means I want to start putting myself first. Now, don't be surprised, these other sub factors of Uranus. Internet gets involved heavily. Scientific equipment gets involved.
Okay.
Science itself gets involved. Research gets heavily involved. Especially being a Gemini, doing heavy research into something might be really the ticket for you.
Yeah, I worked with a national nonprofit a couple of years ago and did a ton of research to close all the loopholes for a big bill that they were trying to pass in California. And I was the one person with the knowledge of all of that. And I put all of that to great use, and I loved it. And it was a wonderful experience.
Very, 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 very good. And Erica is coming out of San Francisco, and she's applauding you. Now, I want your opinion now, Mega. We're mostly through the show, but not completely. I want your opinion. Number one, how do you feel now when you look back and feel blocked?
It helps significantly having it put in a more accurate way of it's where I'm meeting the points of lacking skills or lack of development, and that is the crux of it. Even talking about all the things you were exploring with your Uranus transit, that's a lot of stuff that's been on my mind about stuff that I never really got to explore, and maybe see if I have talent at different things.
Now, from my experience, here's what I'm seeing. You are not a typical Gemini, and it's because of that Jupiter of yours is so strong. Because Jupiter is the opposite end of Gemini. Gemini is Sagittarius. Sagittarius is much broader minded. Gemini is more, I got lots of knowledge about a bunch of little things, but they're not really that interested in putting it all together. And when I listen to you, talk to you, you've got a bigger mind. You've got a bigger mental concept. That's Jovian. That's Jupiter. That's where it's coming from. That's why you would be a good teacher.
Yeah. I do like teaching people.
You would be a good teacher. Now that you're feeling better, what's on your near horizon?
Well, I'm still a work in progress on the feeling better part. There's still the mystery of my neck and my head. But I am steadily getting better and more able to actually function and do things again. And I'm literally at the crux of figuring out what to do. Like even 1 month ago, I was in too much pain to think about anything. So I would really like to develop my writing abilities. That is a big one. And at least at this stage, I'd like to be doing more physical things with the horses and so forth, but that's currently way beyond what I can think of, at least for, the next 6 months.
So
I'd like
go ahead. Go ahead.
I'd like to develop my skills and my ability to be creative. I know I'm capable of it, but I'd like to now really explore uninhibited. I think it's a good time in my life for that.
Okay, this area of the chart has to do with developing new skills. This area of the chart has to do with more creativity. And since Pluto is right on this line right now, bombarding this line right here, I would say you're going to get tremendous amount of new creativity coming out of you. And
Ooh,
and secondarily the new skills. So it's more right now that you're going to get into the self-expression part of Leo as it is to the Virgo part of developing the skill sets. They're down the road yet. So I don't find it to be a coincidence that you're finding your ability to think is getting better at the same time that the physical brain is starting to feel better. That's no
yes,
coincidence. That's no coincidence.
correct. I 100% agree. In fact, I think some of these injuries I had since I was a small kid, and I've always had on and off days of when I can think clearly and when I can't. And the more that we're treating my neck and I'm getting better, the more I can think. Like I don't feel hobbled or handicapped.
Constricted.
Yes,
The
yes.
number one. Go ahead, dear. Go ahead.
Oh, it feels like a constricted like flow, like even my
Right.
brain's not oxygen or something. I don't know what.
I understand that. Well, what I want to do is two things as we summarize here. I want to encourage you to talk directly to God, Holy Spirit, whatever you want to call it, and say, hey, it's kind of cramped back there. Please help me somehow getting blood flow in that area.
Yeah,
Put it in his hands.
I agree.
Be very direct about it. Say, I'm giving it to you. I can't do it. I need your help. Secondly, I think it's very important to start considering through your meditation, through your journaling, through whatever method you want to use, by yourself, consistently sitting down, thinking about, am I really worthy of anything that you're going to send me with your cavalry?
Oh, yeah.
Because there's too many times the mind is very quick. Oh, it's not going to happen. Blah, 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 it's gone.
Yeah.
Sit down and stop and think and talk with him and journal it out. I feel unworthy. We already know where the unworthy feeling came from.
Yes.
But we know it's not true.
Yes.
So it's very sad that those things did happen. Thank God they're not any worse. And I feel real good about everything we've talked about. I think you've been a real brave soldier. This is not easy to go through. I understand. I think you've done a really good job and things really looking on the thumbs up. How's everybody else feel?
Definitely that.
In the group, how's everybody else feel?
Oh.
Okay, that's what I wanted to see.
Okay.
Megan, I think you're going to be fine. Do not become a stranger if you want to come back and visit us. We're always here Thursday night, 8 Eastern.
I will. Thank you.
You're looking good. This video will be up on YouTube in the next couple hours.
Thank you so much.
Any other final questions?
Oh, the one thing was about the build-up to February 20th with the Pluto return. So are you saying that after the 20th, things are going to ease up?
Absolutely not. This is a huge turning point. This is not something that's going to apex on one weekend and be gone Monday. This is something, this has been building for 250 years.
Right.
This is the report card coming in to the United States as far as abusing our power. As a matter of fact, I'm going to just say it. What I saw today's in my charts, I did the Pluto return chart for the country. I think we're going to have a complete economic collapse.
Ooh.
I really think so. That's what the planets tell me. I don't want it to be that way. The planets tell me that. And I'll show that chart to the group later. I don't know how long it'll last. I don't know how severe it'll be, but it's not looking good. And it all comes down to we've all got to take ownership of what's happened and honestly rebuild with the way we want the country to be. We
Yeah.
need to. And I think you're going to be an integral part of that. So I wish you good luck and thank you. I don't know about China and Russia. I just don't know. Thank you for joining us, Megan. Thanks everybody for tuning in.
Thanks,
We'll see you
Megan. Thanks, Rick.
We'll see
Thank
you
you.
next week with another guinea pig.
All
Thank
right.
you, Rick. Thank you so much, Megan.
Bye-bye.
Bye, Megan. Good night.